A sonnet forever due. I promised myself that I wouldn't fail, that I would return to you never loving. Another soul, and I still left you without mail. The battlefield ready but starving, dying. I just want to die here in peace tonight. My blood pressure rising, my wounds curdle. I reach down with blood on my hands in sight. My life, my fatal attraction, a circle. What line did I seem to cross when I fall, for the obvious injustice that's here? What story do you think they will now tell? What sort of man am I, just one to fear? If only I had lived to have loved you. Now I am here, all alone, forever due, eternally moored. A HMS Belfast poem. There once was a Pip, a young boy with coarse coal hands, and a soul calloused from mining caverns, who exchanged his sinew for 20 farthings, to churn the engines of the nation, for those brave enough to enter the sea. There once was a Pip, an adolescent with coarse iron hands, and a soul calloused from molten strikes, who exchanged his sinew for 24 farthings, to manufacture the engines of the nation, for those brave enough to enter the sea. There once was a Pip, an unmarried man with coarse soaked hands, and a soul calloused from vising knots, who exchanged his sinew for 8 shillings, to moor the ships of the nation, for those brave enough to enter the sea. There once was a Pip, a married man with coarse muddied hands, and a soul calloused from enlistment, who exchanged his sinew for 10 shillings, to man the ships of the nation, for those brave enough to enter the sea. There once was a Pip, a divorced man with coarse bloodied hands, and a soul calloused from battle, who exchanged his sinew for 12 shillings, to defend the world from calamity, for those brave enough to enter the sea. There once was a Pip, an old man with coarse wrinkled hands, and a soul calloused with age, who exchanged his sinew for 14 shillings, to bring joy to our existence, for those brave enough to enter the sea. There once was a Pip, a deceased man of coarse white bone, and a soul calloused by life, who exchanged his sinew for grace, to become ashed matter in water, for those brave enough to enter the sea. Moondust Hourglass. You are not a person in a room, you are a room in a person. You are not a word in a dictionary. You are the dictionary for a word. You are not a wave in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a wave. You are not a grain of sand. You are a castle with its pearl-white gates wide open and unbarred. You are not a face that is observed, yet you are the only face I see. You are not the fire in a flame, you are the bonds that are broken. You are not a tree in a forest, you are the forest that reveals a tree. You are not the treasure inside of a chest, you are a chest of treasures, with passion and naivety. You are not the stone that falls, you are the feather that falls beside it. You are not the gravity of a situation, you are the situation that yields gravity. You are not the parameters of an equation, you are the equation knighted and transposed. You are not the pawn in a game of chess, you are the reason to carve and chisel and start out all over again from nothing. You are not the impact of matter, you are what craters the ground with each step. You are not mortality manifested in a soul, you are the soul of mortality. You are not a Chronica Delta, you are a J isolate. You are not the observability of space, you are the space worth observing. You are not the darkness in the galaxy, you are the graviton that is observed. You are not the surface of the moon, you are the moon in a rock. You are not the passage of time, you are the time that passes. You are not the vastness of space, you are the reason to find it. You are not the sentience that is sought, you are what makes all sentient life shudder. You are not a Hermitian operator, you are a Hermitian conjugate. You are not the function of an equation, you are an integral that reveals what's missing. You are not the death of humanity, you are the death that humanity seeks. You are not human for an eternity. Each morning the sun rises and a majestic griffin sharpens its beak on the diamond mountain, where light glistens into azure perfection, a capricious vibrancy glistening into a divine being's eyes. A moment of solace is time itself, a shriek at the passage of an hour for an eternity. Each morning the sun sets, and a majestic griffon sharpens its beak on the diamond mountain, where light flickers into obsidian annihilation, and a shard of tears falls into the oblivion, where darkness looms, and solitude is honoured for an eternity. and each century a trinary solar eclipse sets, when the jaded moon rises from the east, and a B-type sequence star's limelight shimmers into the distant mist. A welcome hand clutches the air from steaming lime-green liquid nitrogen, and a remarkable man emerges to congratulate an old friend for an eternity. Eternally a soul. Don't love. To love is to yield to passion. A man devoid of love is a distant pulse. Don't die. Fall into the ethereal nature of life, a journey of pain, loss and regret and death. Don't breathe. Burn like a raging fire inside your lungs. That forms the bonds with a distant soul. Don't understand. Feel the vibrant existence of a sacred site and step forward into a place where light enters you. Don't decide. Fall into the abyss of eternal reason, and in the expression of love, eternally a soul that lives within. The Blade of Truth. Echoes of the Zuni Feiji, C242088 system. There is sufficient execution of mind, intolerance, destruction, miscalculation in the mean human mortal to supply all matter with time, at any forgiven second. And the best at rage are those who preach against it, and the best at love are those who preach hate, and the best at death are those that cling to life. Those who preach Allah need Allah. Those who preach war will never find peace. Those who preach war will never find love. Beware the all-knowing, beware the teachers, beware those that never read, beware those that embrace poverty or are thankful for its lessons. Beware those quick to reward, for they need honor in return. Beware those that censor time, for they are incomplete, because those that exterminate the constants are immortal. Beware the mean man, the mean woman, beware their loyalty, their servitude is unforgiving silence. For there is vice knots in their rage. There is sufficient rage in their hearts to snub you, to snub anybody, not desiring submission, not understanding execution. They would execute anything. They will attempt to collapse your soul from the inside out. For being pure in spirit, to never experience blinding humility. They will not understand mercy. They will consider mercy as their failure as creators, as their failure to embrace life, never believing in value. They will snub your love as incomplete, and then they will burn you. And their burn will be perfect, like a shining nectar, like a blade, like ash, like ink, like glass, the blinding light of eternal rage. 45 seconds. In 45 seconds. Fragged by a shell, I'm dead. Collapsed into ditch, under the torment of shrapnel artillery. Explosives falling, exploding in air. 155mm shell fire. Explosives everywhere, charging through the mud. Lee Enfield in hand, I sprint. That makes me smile more. No longer alive. A soul traversing a field, with poppies blooming. A mind a prison, to observant solitude. Finally, freedom. Death's harmony. Focus on the present. Let fear be that of a dying person. Let the quality of one's being clarify your thoughts. For today I died and discarded my perceptions. You must impede the soul from its will, and endure it for all its inadequacies. For the sanctity of one's mind can be weighed, and I am grateful that I have remained unharmed. Ask yourself whether an action is necessary, and celebrate the unlimited potential that you obtain. The mastery of freedom, serenity, and will is the ultimate harmony that perfects the man. Never endure what was never meant for you. Yet to control one's being is to no longer suffer. To conquer oneself is to conquer adversity. Now go with wisdom to live, having already met death.